Popular podcaster Joe Rogan is also now tweeting after his interview with former President Trump, saying the Harris campaign offered for her to come on the podcast, but only for an hour and not in studio. Rogan writes, "I strongly feel the best way to do this is in the studio in Austin. My sincere wish is just to have a nice conversation and get to know her as a human being." What do you make of that? And given the massive size of his audience, how significant would an interview with Rogan be at this stage in the race for Harris?
Yeah, look, it remains to be seen how significant it would be. Of course, Trump did this interview because his campaign is trying and working to reach those younger voters that he so needs to pull over. Of course, Harris has been leading in that youth vote, that younger demographic, but Trump is also trying to pull that over, especially with white males. Rogan's audience, obviously, is tailored to that demographic, pulls in that demographic, if you will. So, sure, I think it's important on the one hand that if Harris were to sit for an interview, of course, she would be targeting that same demographic that the former president did. At the same time, I'm not sure at the end of the day how much it would really matter, though he does have a big audience and a large reach. So it could potentially still happen at some point. We'll see.
All right, Karen Travers, Catherine Falders, thank you.
What's your message to Michigan voters in terms of the economy? We have auto workers who are being laid off and those who fear that they might be laid off. The average person can't afford groceries or their rent. And recent polls in Michigan show that Michigan voters believe that Donald Trump would do a better job with handling the economy and bringing jobs back. What do you say to that?
Well, let's start with this. I come from the middle class, and I'll never.
I didn't think she was gonna say it again. Again? The middle class again? The same middle class story? I grew up in the middle class. You repeated this 1,000 times. 1,000 times in this campaign.
I forget where I come from. My mother worked very hard. She, by the time I was a teenager, was able to save up for our first home. And I understand.
Like them beautiful people say around the world, them beautiful patriots, my brothers and sisters, they say you just can't make this up. Man, what it's just pathetic, man. It's they should be ashamed of themselves, man. This whole campaign, man. But all I can say is, what did you expect? And now I'm always going back and thinking, why did the top Democrats say we might as well, we should get rid of the whole ticket right before Joe Biden stepped out, right before, after that debate, they were like, it was in the talks, it's in the works, before Nancy came in there with them box wines and Obama came in there sweating, or Barry, Big Mike came in there with that lipstick on, but it was ketchup, and Hillary came in there still shaking that hot sauce bottle, right before he stepped down, step aside. No, they got him out of there. They said, we're defeated. We know what went on, man. I don't care what them liberals crying got to say. I don't care. I don't care right now. Because this is pathetic. This is pitiful, man. Y'all could have y'all could have had a better ticket. Them top Democrats said, we want to get a brand new ticket. Kamala is out of the question. But we know what happened. We know what took place. And this goes back to show you, 0 votes. Not a primary. Most unpopular. Worst approval rating. Laughing and cackling. Look at this, y'all. Everywhere she goes, on every interview, every podcast, it's more dislikes than likes. We got tons of people in my comments saying, I just can't vote for her. I'm sorry. I'm a Democrat, lifelong Democrat. I'm a liberal. I just can't vote for her. Tons say I'm actually voting for Trump. I just don't see how anybody can vote for this. And the ones that are voting for this, they just hates Trump's guts. Rapist, dictator, Hitler. He did it to himself. He said this January 6th. Yeah. Convicted felon. He's a felon. Yeah. But he has a track record. He had a good presidency. No matter what you can say, you know, some of the things you didn't like, that you did like, you know. But I'm just being real. If you look at the facts, man, if it's facts over emotions, this is going to be a landslide for Trump, man. I'll just be honest with you. I just don't see how anybody can vote for this. And it's showing time and time after again. You know, look how many dislikes. And I believe right now it's over 100,000 dislikes. 100,000 dislikes. And look at the contrast. You just can't compare. Look over in this one right here, 107,000 dislikes and 30,000 likes. And then the Joe Rogan podcast, almost 2 million likes and 40,000 dislikes. 40,000 dislikes and 2 million likes. The difference is completely different. I'm telling y'all, man, if they walk away with this, we already know the fix is in, man. It has to be too big to rig. Make sure you go out and vote. This is ridiculous, man. And I believe they, you know, look, 120, again, I think it's over, again, this was literally a day ago, 120,000 dislikes and 40,000 likes. That's how bad. And if y'all go watch this, it's pretty bad, man. You know, it's pretty bad. And it hurt to see me in that other one we just did. And they asked her about the economy, Americans struggling. You know, people can't afford it. I mean, and the first thing she says, I grew up in the middle class once again. It's hurting my soul, man. We are in big trouble, man. I'm telling you. If that is in, we are in big trouble. But let's check this out. This is ridiculous, man. No, Joe, you're gonna have to come to me, and we're gonna do it on my time. And we're not going to do 3 hours because I can't talk for 3 hours. You know, I'm incompetent. We're going to do 1 hour. And you're going to come to me. All you got to go do is sit down with that fella and talk for however long it lasts. He wants to know you as a human being. Simple. But no, JD Vance is taking your spot. Y'all ready for that JD Vance on Joe Rogan? I think it's actually happening today, if I'm correct. I think it's happening today. But let's check this out, man. This is ridiculous. Make sure y'all hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. We keep it real. We do not sugarcoat it. Share the video. Let's jump in.
Podcast host Joe Rogan has exposed a list of Kamala Harris's demands in order to appear on his show. Following the hugely successful podcast interview between Joe Rogan and Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump, which was viewed 38 million times and counting, there have been calls for Kamala Harris to sit down with Joe Rogan in the same long-form interview style. Nothing has been locked in, but Joe Rogan released a statement on X outlining communication between him and the Harris camp with a list of their requests for the interview. He said, "Also, for the record, the Harris campaign has not passed on doing the podcast. They offered a date for Tuesday, but I would have had to travel to her and they only wanted to do an hour. I strongly feel the best way to do it is in the studio in Austin. My sincere wish is to just have a nice conversation and get to know her as a human being. I really hope we can make it happen." This statement attracted a huge response from online commentators, with Charlie Kirk saying, "America deserves 3 hours with Kamala and Joe Rogan unscripted. Hope it happens and she stops trying to dictate the terms. You have a format, it works."
Do y'all know how many clips are going to hit the internet? How many word salads are going to hit the internet? Speaking to Joe Rogan. Do y'all understand how? And they know it. And that's one reason why they said, no, we're going to do 1 hour. I'm not going to be sitting there talking to you for 3 hours and I can barely, speak without a teleprompter. Yeah. I'm just being real, y'all. I know people don't. Again, we live in these soft, woke, sensitive times, man. You know, everybody believe the fake news, the mainstream media, all this crap, man. People, and this is why I tell you, a lot of people now don't trust the media. They're losing credibility. They don't trust the media. Just sick of this corruption, man, and these frauds. DEI didn't earn it, not qualified. And when she speaks, I think she's drunk. Drunk entire inventory. Bam. That's DEI for you. Didn't earn it. Drunk entire inventory. She's drunk. And they're just going to push her around. And Obama's going to have he wants his 4th term. That's all it is. Puppets.
She should stop trying to change it, just like America. And this commentator doubled down, saying, "In studio is the only way. Let the whole world see the real Kamala Harris. What are they scared of?" The request to change the normal Joe Rogan Experience podcast interview terms comes after Donald Trump slammed his opponent, saying she wouldn't be able to make it through a 3-hour-long conversation.
One of the things I like about doing a show like this, can you imagine Kamala doing this show?
I could imagine her doing this show.
She'd be laying on the floor.
She was supposed to do it, and she might still do it, and I hope she does.
She's not going to.
I will talk to her like a human being. I will try to have a conversation with her. If she did this kind of an interview with you, I hope she does, because it would be a mess. She'd be laying on the floor comatose. You'd be saying, "Call in the medics." I think we'd have a fine conversation. I think I'd be able to talk to her. I wouldn't try to interview her. I just try to have a conversation with her and hopefully get to know her as a human being. That was my goal, having her on. Trying to get her to express herself just as I don't know if I don't think these formats are good. I don't think that two people, first of all, I hate the idea of the presidential debates because I hate the idea of a time limitation on complex ideas. Also, you have to break.
I think you have to have the debates, though.
And whilst Kamala Harris's camp tries to negotiate terms with Rogan, Vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance has seized on the publicity opportunity and will appear on the #1 podcast. Outspoken entrepreneur Andrew Yang reacted to the news, saying, "Now that J.D. Vance is going on Joe Rogan, it's all the more important that Kamala Harris also does so." Kamala Harris's demands come after she has suffered through weeks of gaffe-ridden appearances, reveals Sky News host Kel Richards.
This is why she's such an appalling candidate. She's the worst candidate since Hillary Clinton, and we know what happened to her. So she's just she cannot very quickly off the top of her head think of a clever way or an appropriate way or a tactically good way to react. So she did this really stupid thing of go to the rally down the street. "You don't belong in my rally if you want to say Jesus." I mean, that's as you say, America is a far more religious country than Australia.
It is.
The vast majority of them are Baptists. They don't want to hear a candidate saying that. She's done herself a lot of damage. And then the idea that you can repair it by going to church tells you that Kamala might be Christian on a Tuesday but not on a Wednesday, or maybe she's Christian at 3 o'clock but not at 4 o'clock, and that's exactly the problem. She's this changeable, could be anything, chameleon, don't know what she believes, don't know who she is candidate, and she's underlined that. Yes, I'm really like that. I'm really this very uncertain person, and you'll never know who I really am or what I really believe. This is her doing self-damage. She's had a really bad week. And at the end of the week, she's just making it worse.
Sky News host Rowan Dean agrees, saying the Kamala Harris campaign has been a disaster.
But Rita, it is looking like Donald Trump will win. That is certainly where things are heading at the moment. But the key thing is that the Kamala Harris campaign really has been a disaster. However you look at it, she is just a woeful candidate. Put all politics aside, just as a performing candidate, she is hopeless, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, you just can't make it up, man. Someone says she can't even talk to Joe Rogan. I'm supposed to trust her to deal with Putin and Kim? Yeah. Yeah. She wants to interview on her terms, you know. And Trump goes in there and just has a 3-hour. I mean, it's just I can't wait for November to be here, man. And I really do hope it's a landslide, man. That she doesn't get promoted, man. People like this don't deserve promotions. You know, DEI didn't earn it, not qualified, unqualified. Let me know what y'all think, though, man. Comment down below. I love y'all. I'm wishing the best in all you guys' life. One love to the human race, baby. And I'll catch you beautiful people in the next one. And make sure you go out and vote.